Say I am not going to also. And yet, I told you the Aglaranya be. You might believe that the Yamaji show more control than you go.
Move. Abedimpo. Fisheries Commission. Kanu Council. Aiko. Kwame Kofi Kinata. Nyame no boni wiase. No bwepu besi na numu nyame ina. Obosu kweyuru eben ekan safolo wanjina umo. No bobo so kasenara. Senior man. Falfu benye sika oye pri. Ya bori na ma oye tui. Eto na chinam epiala. Sunday. Sikenyi bi no nyi pese munkuminya. Obiala le hwehwe mana kubenya. Ti wale ye pui ma wo pebiala. Inti ene puya mo sayeli yeni. That chinchilima wants to
A typical Wednesday morning on the beach of Nyanyano, a fishing community in the central region of Ghana. A community with almost its livelihood on fishing, just like other communities. Situation hasn't always been like this. At least, that is what the fisher folks say. According to them, fishing in Ghana has become quite slow.
Western, Central, Greater Accra, Volta, Disco,
Ghana spans an area of 238,535 kilometers square and has an Atlantic coastline that stretches 560 kilometers on the Gulf of Guinea and Atlantic Ocean to its south. Almost 78% of the country's land size is covered by water, according to the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF. This vast water areas accounts for the existence of one of the longest traditional and profitable vocations, fishing.
The
marine subsector in Ghana is the most important source of local fish production, with the annual average domestic catch being 300,000 metric tons. The marine fisheries subsector delivers over 70% of total fish supply in Ghana, according to the Ministry of Food and Agriculture. The importance of the fisheries sector in the socio-economic development of the country cannot be overemphasized. With a marine coastline of 550 kilometers stretching from Aflawo in the east to Half Asini in the west. The fishing industry plays a major role in sustaining livelihoods. Ghana's fishing industry consists of three main sectors: the industrial fishing, marine artisanal fishing, and inland canoe fishing. Each of these is broken down into other subsectors. Another important trend in the fishing business is the fish farming by private individuals.
The first sector is the industrial fishing vessels, and this sector is made up of tuna vessels and industrial trawlers. The tuna vessels fish for tuna, which is largely migratory, so the vessels go beyond the 200 miles. the tuna sector is the largest foreign exchange earner in the fishing industry, and the second in the non-traditional export sector. Until quite recently, when it was overtaken by cashew, it used to be the leader in that sector as well. Most of their products are processed here and exported to European countries. The rest of them are sold locally, but they are normally the smaller species and so on. Then you have the industrial trawl sectors. They fish for our popular redfish, for the groupers, and that kind of thing. They also do exports, but not on a large scale as the tuna sector. In fact, the tuna sector does the largest exports, and therefore the largest foreign exchange earner for us. The semi-industrial area that comprises the wooden or metal vessels have inboard motors on them. They also fish in the same zone as the canoe fishermen, and most of their products are consumed locally. They also do some, in fact all the sectors do exports. Then you have the marine artisanal canoe, on the coast. That's from Cape 3 Points to Aflao. In fact, they produce about 70% of the local fish that we consume in this country. Then the inland is also on that standard. They also use the canoes. So both sectors use outboard motors, and they use premix fuel. They also produce a lot of fish for local consumption, but some are smoked or processed in any form and also exported. So by and large, these are the 5 sectors, and each sector is represented by a fisheries association.
The country has special interest in the fish business, hence the establishment of the National Fisheries Association of Ghana, NAFAG, an organization that oversees operation of all the sectors of fishing in Ghana.
We spearhead advocacy in some of the matters that are specific to specific sectors. Some are also general. The advocacy for the procurement of a research vessel to undertake research activities so as to provide credible and verifiable data for planning cuts across all sectors. Right? The advocacy for premix and other things are for the external, marine and inland. The advocacy for fishing licenses is for industrial vessels, that is the tuna vessels, industrial vessels. And NAFAG has been leading in these advocacies. Whatever concerns, whatever responses that we have to make, we do all these things at the NAFAG Executive Council. This council comprises representatives of all the 5 fisheries associations. So we collate their views, put them together, and submit them to the appropriate authority. We follow up. Right? We also disseminate information through these representatives to their various associations. Now the advantage in it is that you have one front.
For a long time, fish has remained the preferred and cheapest source of animal protein, with about 75% of total annual production being consumed locally.
Yes, the fishing industry is very important to this country because it provides about 60% of the fish protein for Ghanaians, right? Ghana is among the largest consumers of fish, not only in Africa but in the world. The fishing industry also employs about 10% of the country's population, in the value chain. That is from the fishermen to the traders, to the processors, to the packaging, to the cold store, up to the consumer level. The chain in there is about 10% of the national population. It is a main livelihood for coastal communities, right? And because of its importance in the food industry, it also becomes a security issue. Because if you don't have food, you don't have fish, and people start to agitate, and it will have several security implications. Currently, yes, tuna is the leader in terms of exports. All the 5 sectors, the fish that we produce, some of them are also exported.
In Ghana, the average per capita fish consumption is said to be around 20 to 25 kilograms, which is higher than the world average of 13 kilograms. The sector is estimated to contribute about 3.9% of the nation's gross domestic product and 11% of the agriculture GDP.
Fisheries Commission, Kanu Council, Aiko, Kwame Kofi Kinata.
A 5-minute walk from the main Kaswa Cape Coast Road resides a small community of Ewe fishermen, most of whom have traveled from their home regions to this area only to continue fishing. A community of just a few fishermen and their families have been here for a while. This place has become their home and workplace, a place where their entire livelihood rests. Canoe fishing has for years been a very reliable source of fishing, which does not involve much to start with, but can be very profitable.
Beta tokogia, mi ato doko miwo. Icho vota regi so kwa kofe. Ka vagi, mi vagi 1990. Yemi vagi. Yemi vagi ya mi vapo atoyele yele sisi. O ato ko be anyone mi pa. Darome na mi etoji ye ko tekpire mi hu. Mi cho demi view school. Amo ire college, amo ire university. Nemenye to e va kwere mi hu legi wa. Bobi na na kama nya wona mi hu. Ta to e la ekpire mi hu pa. Saka ame to achati trade miongo nya o society legi ameliu.
The fishing industry in Ghana works around a chain of varied sectors, from the fisherman to the cold stores, to the women who buy them and preserve them into different forms before ending up in the market. Each of these sectors are key stakeholders in the fishing business, and once profitable business.
I'm the Yasu Pujumayan, yeah. Sabi Uncle ya Dominia Kujuman Yaba, Yaginamaba. You will miss your far, your ton, Namania Jamo. Namano, I assasses. It depends the Biala and Nakasimot. Into Nambi the tuna. Yasha tuna na that one, Nakasimata. A Biana, Yaton the Bell, 100 Ghana, and air 10 city, and air 20 Ghana. Yajime Missafuna, Missafuna Sodua, a bimufi. I mean, baby now, also Amoba. Now I'm about ton of fresh. Yasha, Namana Yadiabano, send a Namana Manasasset, Niajaton, Namanajiman Missafun, Missafun, so I also my our water, no also aquaton.
Importantly, as much as 60% of animal protein in the Ghanaian diet countrywide is thought to be from fish, which accounts for 22.4% of household food expenditures. Fish preservation, especially smoking, is an old traditional method that has survived for several generations. The tedious process of cutting, smoking, and getting fish ready for the market is a whole interesting process on its own.
Kwaya pado ebedu bomonyende ya bekotama. Ya kotama ebekwa kofa namno ho. Te ya kofa ho a ana ya de baba. Te se ya de ba ansana ye be sensen na ye betutu. Tutu na chede ekwanya abafado atutu ni de ibetwitwa. Etwitwa nkakrama ye beton ebasa 5 cedi. Nyensa 5 cedi. Nkane na ye tono anai 5 cedi. But it's a what 2 months. Na ye no ebasa 5 cedi. Na ba ku 2 cedi.
As much as the fishing industry employs and feeds the nation on a daily basis, each of the sectors in the chain is being buried by various challenges. According to these people working in the industry, the past 5 years have been a very rough season for the business.
The gun fishing away, I light now, yes, one tea. Amama, Yujman and Shadow called Papa, were Gumoyano Puma. Now, yeah, Chedra, Yujmanu, Guafa way, Tunano, and Nami different, as for one net. Now, Anam light in a wash on in tea. Ama says Adam, way in Ankodo, Namano, Ankodo, Numum. Kita school boys ya ana ye guduma ye yiwoma eja ye disese yumana damanati
was last 3 years 2019 I'm there nyimu ye kakla April 2020 to 2021 nyama asesa sesa amana ye kopa nyenya mukra pini susu kompa ode aba kompa ebenye no mo na ye tumne ye dako
Sabio, Name Yelagunya away, Anna and Yankopon Adam. Aya ne say a cashe Easter Bila. Ni ye Yamana Beshem. Jayako Easter Bila. And whom in Su Akasaka Senato Tolan. Yamano Yajukotu Sunubni Atun Uncle. Be a one bone there, and whom from Anaba. Bone there, Anyolaka, watch or Najoko, a Jago Bufum. Wabo Moto, Winet, Wukanu, Nini and I condemn.
Of late, the production level has been declining. It has declined so fast that currently we are even unable to produce 50% of our local consumption. This means that we spend a lot of foreign currency to import fish to fill that gap. And so even though there may be some foreign exchange earnings, at the same time, because of the low production level, we also use a lot of money to import fish to fill the gap there. Now, the low production level has occurred as a result of illegal methods of fishing, and as a result of that, they contribute to the declining stock because the juveniles are also fished. The small size mesh nets will fish everything. The light fishing will attract everything for them to score. The chemicals.
The women who serve as the middlemen between the fishermen and consumers also have their own stories to tell.
no colony first ne de uton na ma na chese uweska uton na ma na uweska na se nye de ma sanka yentum ye bibia wo asase don ka yentum ye ejapade bia yentum dan pon ka yentum nsi so se ade eduma no colony to bibi de na ye
Yomo be no yele na kani towo ni wole ni ya wa mi na lo na ite na sun iwo asha wole je ka me te wa mi na lo na gbene no na ba ya una ga ba wona me ahi wona helo ye bi ni woni chumu efe basa ni wo ye ni wo yo nsho na towo
nya ma betuma ka de o nya bum wo ma today my first no ye ma me mo kan ye ho na ye na ye nya no wo de hwe me brothers to school oh and de ano ye she se ade nde mfaso ni mo sa ba se an faso ni mo o kasa wo tena ho na wo nye adwuma o be de didi enu nti ina ye wo mara
towo wa ke wo ke nye wo male towo eja go ba te shile bi no ba ban show na no ga tin si di boy ya hia kele le te wo leba inalu ete wo ba inalu petro agbene ba o fashi kakeke o ko yin funu ake o ya fam ko shika no ke heni agbene ke o ban show na o ko yin funu ake o ba na yen show na ke ya no ke ya pe mo na mo ona wo menu wo tun lo ni towo ne towo wo lele hu o ke ba yin ko benti akoni efe no ko fi o ha wo ke ya light ya sun ona
o dune ku afon cha afafo de wo mu afafo ma ni me wo ya so ya I'm talk here now aya won dune ya ho. One cannot rule off the effects of foreign vessels in Ghana's waters, which also contributes significantly to the depletion of fish stocks in Ghana's 200 nautical mile maritime exclusive economic zone. The most affected stocks are sea bottom feeding fishes.
So close is in the bar. Yamana manambe na $1 for me and alo. Napa, Geta, Tunafo, Inshofo, Sefcon, Mofad, FCWC, SFNP, NAFTA, Aiko, Odip, Ebalu, Nangana Ebalu, Ebalu, Nangana Ebalu, Tata iti, Galaba, Tata.
I feel like I you can tell like everything with your tree. You can't tell on Shona Poe with my video music. And no one now. One that will show any if it you are short of if it won't show. Honorable Minister of Fisheries, our Kusi, or part of Akadum, now, one not a young now. She I could no pie no more should.
Ghana's fishing industry currently plays a major significant role in the country's quest for better socio-economic development. With a tall list of legislations and committees being accrued, what happens to this country's fishing industry? The sea, the rivers and lakes are all but a reliable force of nature. But sadly, the fate of the industry in the next 5 years is certainly unknown.
Yamana manambe na $1 for me and alo. Napa, Geta, Tunafo, Inshofo, Sefcon, Mofad, FCWC, SFNP, NAFTA, Aiko, Odip, Ebalu, Nangana Ebalu, Nangana Ebalu,